Okay, this is from my book, Prevent and Reverse Obesity by me, Pete Rogers. Okay, we're now doing what is part 5 of Prevent and Reverse Obesity. We're on rule number 5, no processed food. You know, who are the fattest people in the world? The people of Nauru, that island next to Australia where the average Nauru weighs like 220, 230 something pounds. And they're not that tall, they're fat. And the reason they're fat, they sold their topsoil to the corporations. You know, from their tropical island, all the birds pooping on there, lots of phosphate. The corporations bought out their topsoil, and then they had nothing to grow their food on, so they shipped in processed food, and the people, you know, ballooned up into a bunch of fatsos. You know, all the Western diseases go with that. Hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery disease. Okay, so pretty stupid to sell your topsoil so you can't grow food anymore. Short-term gain for long-term suffering. All right, you know, processed food, what they do is they make it hyper palatable. They taste good. These companies have $1 billion of research budget. They just bring people in and test how much monosodium glutamate, manufacturer-free glutamate they need to put in there to make it taste good. How much fat, how much should they fry it and add fatty emulsifiers? How much high fructose corn syrup, what will give them the right mouthfeel? How much salt, sodium to reach the so-called bliss point where people just love it and they're addicted to it. They keep buying more. So, you know, they're smart. They know how to get the people addicted to their food. And in the short run, it tastes good. But like I said, it's like, you know, an HIV positive hooker. It might look nice on the corner, but it's not a good idea, okay? You just destroy yourself. You know, it's like the old forks and knives quote. Most men dig their own grave with a fork and a knife. You know, life is short. Why not maintain your health? But you got to learn a little bit about food. It's not rocket science. Low fat, low sodium, 100% vegan. Okay, here is ultra-processed food. The main thing you have nowadays is not MSG, it's MFG, manufactured free glutamate. So what that means is you manufacture it to free up the glutamate. So here's a protein, just a string of amino acids like beads on a necklace. The G is for glutamates. The more you process the food, pasteurization, extraction, hydrolysis, enzyme lysis, fermentation, the more you break apart the individual glutamates. That's what manufacturing process, freeing up to free up the individual glutamate residues. And then they get a more concentrated bolus, hits these glutamate taste receptors in your mouth and your throat. Umami receptors they're also called. That sends reward neurotransmitters to your brain, making you think the food tastes good. And they can take stale food and make it taste good with this stuff. They'll put tons of this in a lot of soups and processed food. Okay. Our ancestors worried about starvation, and for them to get a bunch of protein was actually a good thing because it was scarce, relatively speaking, in those days. But for us, you know, it's a non-issue. It's impossible not to get more than enough protein. You forget about it. I've never seen a protein deficient patient in my life. Neither has Dr. McDougall. Okay, so that's what you want to worry about is getting too much of this stuff. And, you know, glutamate's a brain excitotoxin. It activates the NMDA receptor, the calcium channel on the postsynaptic neuron in your brain. Glutamate's 90% of your brain neurotransmitters on your cerebral cortex excitatory, like flipping on a light switch. You hyperactivate your brain, that's not good. You can lower the seizure threshold, you can cause insomnia, you can cause anxiety, you can push towards excitotoxicity and cell death by apoptosis of your brain neurons. It's all bad, okay? And these foods being hyperpalatable, then people become addicted to them. They don't want to eat the simple plant foods. That's what this pleasure trap stuff was about with Doug Lyle and Dr. Goldhamer over at True North. The idea that if a person fasts for a while, they can reset their taste buds. And then when their taste buds are reset, then they'll appreciate the taste of the low-fat plant food. Versus if you go straight from the processed food to the low-fat plant food, the plant food will taste too blah and plain. Almost all these processed foods have a lot of mold inhibitors in them, which are fungal inhibitors, and those are also very often succinate dehydrogenase enzyme inhibitors, which is complex 2 of the intermitochondrial membrane of electron transport. Not good, inhibiting your mitochondrial electron transport. Okay, so that's going to be it for this one. And there's also a lot of other mitochondrial inhibitors in processed food. Glyphosate, which is sprayed on the non-organic soy, is a mitochondrial inhibitor. Atrazine, that's sprayed on the non-organic corn, is a mitochondrial inhibitor. The processing of to make high fructose corn syrup often contaminated with mercury, a mitochondrial inhibitor. So it's all bad. So anyways, never eat processed foods. That's sort of the message for today. And then that'll help you to control your body weight. If you want to make an animal get fat, you feed it food with MSG on it, okay? You want to give it atherosclerosis, you feed it eggs, something with a lot of saturated fat. Okay, I hope you found that helpful.